Paul Revere's house is the oldest home in downtown Boston today. It is 335 years old. It was used for multiple purposes besides being his house. Before he bought it, it housed many different people. When he sold it, it became different shops. Eventually, it became a museum. Paul lived in this house around 30 years. It was built in 1680 and is located in the North Square. He bought the house in 1770 with his wife Sarah and many children. Also, his mother lived there sometimes too. Before Paul Revere lived here, his home housed the priest of the Second Church of Boston. Also, before he bought his home, it got burnt down in a fire. 4 years later, it got rebuilt. After Revere sold his home in 1800, it became useful for other things too. It became a candy store, a bank, a fruit and vegetable business, and a cigar factory. After Paul Revere died, his great-grandson decided to buy his house in 1902 and restore it to become a museum. It eventually opened to public eye in 1908. Other people who lived in his house were Robert Howard and Cotton Mather. Robert was a merchant that had a lot of money. He had around 4 slaves living with him. Cotton was the most significant minister for Puritan New England. These are some people who lived here. As you may know, there was a fire that burnt down the house before Paul bought it. The fire didn't just wreck his home, it destroyed 45 others. It took place November 27th, 1678. It was caused by a sleepy person who accidentally dropped their candle on the floor. This surprisingly caused a huge fire, destroying many homes and buildings. Paul Revere was born January 1st, 1735. Revere was a patriot and a Boston silversmith. He was also a talented artist. He did things like engravings, magazines, and illustrations for books. He was also part of the Sons of Liberty, the North End Caucus, and the Masons. He also had 16 children. Revere had 8 children with his wife Sarah, and then when she passed, he got remarried to a girl named Rachel and had another 8 with her. He also founded the first CIA type of organization to spy on the British soldiers. They were named the Mechanics or the Liberty Boys. They would have meetings in the Green Dragon Tavern every day. When Paul died on May 10, 1818, he was buried in the Granary Burying Ground located in Boston. As you can tell, Paul Revere was an important part of history back then and now. Revere was mostly famous for his midnight ride. The midnight ride was when he was sent to warn Samuel Adams, John Hancock, and others that the British were coming. He rode across the Charles River and rode his horse through Boston to Lexington. He also planned a signal, 1 light by land and 2 lights by water. This is telling people if the British are coming by land or water. He put the signal in the Old North Church. Due to his efforts, he prepared many colonists for battle and protection.